Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I have another PCM test, this time working in a 2004 F-250. This was sent to me, Dennis, this is your computer. Dennis is from Tennessee. His last name is start with a J. I'm trying to keep as much as possible the customer's information as private. All right, so he said the first note that I have from the mechanic, right, says when you hook up the scanner to the truck and you go in to diagnose, it shuts down the truck immediately. You can shut off the truck, shut the truck off and try again, and it will immediately shut the truck down if the truck is off. Just with the key in the accessory mode, and you try to diagnose, the whole instrument cluster panel starts going crazy, blinking, and gauges waving at you. All right, so then it's I think that we might have a problem in the car of that is creating that situation. I have seen the first part that, especially on these 2000 models, 2000 from 2000 to 2003, um, the scanner will not be able even to read the VIN here, and that is very common. From 2003 and up, that was corrected by four. Um, and I have also seen that same situation that if you try to connect the scanner with the vehicle running, it will shut off the car. So what I would recommend to do is turn the ignition on, connect the scanner, and you have to like kind of like have the scanner connected, and don't try to communicate with the vehicle until you put the ignition, you put the ignition on. So you can connect it into into the DLC connector, turn the ignition on. Don't try to do it when it's an accessory to communicate because it will create like the problems that you might have right now. Because this is a very small system, so if one of the modules is not reading properly and you try to connect with the scanner, the problem with the system is the scanners are going to try, since are generic, right, to try to communicate in CAN and different um, protocols, and that can create a problem that can shut down the car, and that's what is exactly happening. So if you put the ignition on and you establish the communication, everything will be working perfectly. All right, so on the next note, oh sorry, Dennis, that cluster blinking and stuff like that, I see that you put them in accessory mode, not in the ignition. So yes, this will try to grab the ignition, and that can create a problem. So I will ask you to try it again with the ignition on, not the vehicle on, just the ignition on, establish communication, then start the car. All right, so the problem is you have diagnosed, well, he said, I diagnosed a 2007 Ford Mustang for him as a no star, and the car is running now. However, I'm having trouble with my 2000 F-250. Can I mail this CCM unit to you for testing? The problem with this with my truck is intermittent engine start. The engine turns over but won't start sometimes. The engine can be warm after a long drive or cold in the morning. Sometimes it takes several minutes for it to start. Then it's a little hard to go without um, data as far as fault goes and everything. I have already tested everything with the curve tracer in your module. Dennis, this module is like brand new. I don't see any problems with it. I'm going to not sure if the camera, yeah, I think the camera will probably be enough. I'm just going to put them in here. Hopefully you see that all the components are nice and clean. I have to be careful because this is power up. I put the name on the bottom for you, so because I have multiple computers like this one, but I mean clear code and all the components, no corrosion, no shorting, no temperature, everything is good. I'm also going to show you the numbers in here so you can see that this is a XC3F 12A650BC, and the tag number or ID is MBK5. That is your computer, Dennis. I have established communication with the scanner, and I'm going to change that. Just going to pick up the pit for the battery because it's the easiest for me to show you. I'm going to bring the voltage down, and we're going to see that in the graph. Get you guys closer. It's a little glare in there. Right now I'm in like 11 something balls, and I'm going to go up to like 14 volts, actually 15, so I'm going to come down to like 13, and we can see the graph, and immediately it's steady. There is no glitches. I have seen problems on communication and problems on these modules, and I can see cuts in power here. So whenever it's a cut, I know that something is getting hot, something is getting a problem, and it's definitely a problem in the module, not this case. I have tried already the glow plug signal and different signals in here. Everything is pristine. I have no doubt that this computer is good. I will need further testing in the truck to narrow down a little more so I can help you better. But honestly, I don't think the problem is here. All right, so going to the communication, what I'm going to do is let me get out of here. I'm going to show you what happened if I just try to establish the communication with this computer. Like let's say, yep, I'm going to exit completely so you guys can see this. And you saw that I was having completely communication, not a problem. It's a little too much sometimes, too many buttons. All right, so I'm going to go home right here. I'm going to try first to perform the auto scan so you can see that this indeed don't read the bin number and needs the entire vehicle to read it and reads it in this case from the cluster. And the reason I'm doing this is also to show Dennis that the situation that he's is describing at first, it's not uncommon to happen. So don't worry about that. Just do it as I do here and you will be okay. All right, so I click skip. This will take me over to a manual selection. I hit American, Ford, and then I click on Ford. So now it's just establishing communication with the Bluetooth MBCI or MCDI, whatever Top Down calls the, um, you know, that thing. All right, so I will not establish automatically because I don't have the entire car. So if I go manually and I go by vehicle, Ford, I go over to the F series, right? So this is a 7.3 liter diesel, right? So direct injection. I'm going a little fast, so 2000 year. Ignition is on, so I haven't touched anything on that, right? So this should establish. So right now, so far, we have not even established the communication. This is just selection on the scanner. If I click on yes in here, it's going to populate that kind of like topology that was there based on the year module, year model. And so far here, we're not even talking to the computer yet. This is just, again, just to get to that window or iOS screen. So it's a little slow when you're going this way, but as you can see, there's not really many modules on this vehicle. All right, so if I click on the PCM, we were here before, right? And I establish enter. Sometimes this will not communicate. You see, right? Like right now, no communication. Why? Because this was the computer is being on. So one thing that we need to do is I need to power it down. I'm going to click in here and I'm just going to go back if this let me, yeah, right here. All right, I'm going to power up again and then establish the communication as soon as I power on. So again, the ignition on, that's all you need to do. And you will see that this time it will establish communication right away. You see, all I did was that. So, and again, I can go into data stream. So you will see that I'm actually indeed in the computer. I'm going to do this just a couple of times so we can all see that, but we're reading battery voltage. All right. So again, if I go out, and this is again only in these model years, and if I wait for a little bit and I try to reestablish the communication, it might fail. Maybe not this time because I think it's just too fast and we're still in a good established communication. Let's see. But you see, right now it's acting good. But if I just have a scanner that I connected at first and the ignition was already on, it happens that problem. So don't, go all the way to like almost to establish the communication. When you reach this screen, no matter how you're doing it, don't turn the ignition on, just connect the scanner into OBD port. And when you reach this screen where you're going to select to talk to the computer, that's where you need to turn the ignition on. So I'm going to power this off, right? So, and I'm going to You see, no ignition. I keep the battery connected like in the vehicle, right? So, and we can see that on the amperage 400 amps. So if I turn the ignition back on, you see we're almost in 700 milliamps. So if I establish the communication, I know for sure that this will talk no problem. And this is, I'm an expert on these vehicles and these computers. So take my word as granted when I tell that something is good and I see your module, Dennis. I don't suspect the problem to be here. I think the problem is in the truck. All right, so guys, I hope that this is helpful for some of you that have the 7.3 and you're using an aftermarket scanners on this type of trucks. Is don't do it with the engine running. Again, connect the scanner, get to this screen. Like if I try, like let me just try one more time. Model year 2000. If I, ignition is on. I have not touched that, right? So the ignition is on. Yes, I'm selecting it as 2000, and we just saw how the communication was perfectly, right? But if I do this and I'm out, I'm not, where that topology is, and I try to establish the communication, I'm almost positive that it will try or it will fail almost all the time. So let me just do it in here so I don't fail to show you that. Well, no, this time actually it talks. So, but what I'm trying to explain or show in here, it will be like almost like you just got the scanner, you have not established the communication, you need to power up the scanner, let it select the vehicle, let it try to find the topology, and then you establish the communication. Then when you're ready to go into the ECM specifically is where you turn the ignition on. All right, guys? Thank you so much for visiting the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye bye.